You're listening to the Savoir Faire audio experience.
Are you ready?
The Savoir Faire experience is your guide to everything that has to do with lifestyle. From dating, rides, style, and entertainment. All brought to you by the editor of Savoir Faire magazine, Robert White. Anything goes on this audio experience. So, let's go.
It's still the best.
Hello, and welcome to the Savoir Faire Man podcast. This is Robert White. I'm the editor-in-chief of Savoir Faire magazine, one of the coolest entertainment digital magazines on the market right now. And if you are not a subscriber, you absolutely should be. So get your booty over to my website. It's savfaire.com, SAVFAIRE.com, and go subscribe and get yourself a digital copy and check us out. I mean, just get one for now and just see what you like it. If you like it, because if you do, you should be subscribing and, seeing all the content. You don't want to miss what we're doing, man. Savoir Faire is growing substantially. We're doing all kinds of cool stuff, and you don't want to miss out on that stuff. So you got to get over there and get involved. And the way you do that is by subscribing, because we put all of our juicy stuff, our good stuff, in the magazine. On top of that, if you don't know about us and you don't know about Savoir Faire, we're really trying to get a lot of cool entertainers, models, musical acts, actors, actresses. We've published a lot of people, and we're trying to put them all in there and do a little Q&A and give you guys a little taste of their life. But the true story behind Savoir Faire magazine is that it's a little insight to me. I'm the Savoir Faire man. It's kind of a self-made title. It's not really a real thing. It was supposed to be a character that I created, but somehow it became me. And it's just kind of a glimpse inside my life, the people I admire, the people I like, the things that I really care about, topics I care about. Either way, it's all on the website, so get your booty over there. Let's really get into why we're doing this podcast, number 2 podcast. Today I was talking to a designer friend of mine, and she owns a swimwear line. And she was like, Robert, you really just need to let us do the manufacturing for your swim line, because I want to start one. And we were talking about it. And she was just like all about putting her foot down. Hey, we've been talking for a while. Let's do this. You're either in or you're out. And I love straight talk like that. So I appreciate her like crazy. And just in case she happens to hear this podcast, like, I adore our friendship and I love your business. And I'm more than 100% sure I'm going to be using you to get my stuff produced. And, the audience out there will be able to see that stuff eventually. Right now, it's kind of a low-key thing. We've got some samples made, but we're going to ship our samples to her. She's going to go through them, break them all down, figure out what pieces we need to create, and then we'll have a new line out, which is super cool. So maybe this summer, if not this summer, definitely next summer. We're trying to figure that out. But anyways, that's a side project. What I really want to talk about was when we were talking with her, I was talking with her and I said, I want to know why there's no status quo in the modeling industry anymore. Listen, I'm all for this girl next door can be famous kind of thing. I think social media really launched this whole program where any girl can start an Instagram account, become an Instagram model basically, and become an influencer. But I still don't think that qualifies them as being a model per se. There's got to be a status that you have to get to, right? So think of it this way. Let's say you wanted to be a professional baseball player, or a professional football player, or pretty much any sport that you can think of. These are people that have to work their butts off. I mean, these kids are going to small fry football when they're 5 years old, and they're playing football all through their youth, and youth league. Then they're playing for high school. Then they go to college. Then they get drafted to the pros. But they've put in some time, man. They've got 15 years of their, 18 to 20-year-old life playing football, sometimes more than that. And so they work really hard and they get rewarded by becoming a professional player. But, there's such thing as professional models. And when I think about professional models, I think of people that are right out of the gate, like Gigi Hadid and Man, they're just so freaking many. Tyra Banks, maybe back in the day, not so much now. She's kind of doing like a whole different direction with her celebrity. But Gigi Hadid and girls like that, like they're killing it right now. They're on massive campaigns. They're doing great stuff. And how can you say that like a girl like Gigi Hadid, who would land I think she's doing a co-branding thing with Tommy Hilfiger right now to do this Tommy XO Gigi thing. How do you put a girl like that in the same category as an Instagram model that might even have 1 million followers, honestly? I mean, there has to be a status quo. So we have to dig into this, and I want to talk about that. So our topic today is basically, why is there no status quo in the modeling industry? That's what we're trying to really figure out. Now, I think the modeling industry itself is pretty unique, right? There's a lot of different looks in the world, a lot of different nationalities in the world, and everyone's looking for that very specific girl or man, for that matter, to be that face of their campaign. And when you find that person, you invest in them and you make them that brand. I mean, there's some really strong ad campaigns out there that we know. Like, remember back in the day, was it Pepsi that had what's her name? Man, my brain is always doing this to me these days. I'm like, I must need some vitamins or something to fix my brain issues. Oh my gosh, I can't think of the woman's name now. She's like a super Cindy Crawford, man. Cindy Crawford. She was the face of Pepsi in like the early years. Now here's a supermodel who's the face of a drink that like you shouldn't be drinking if you're trying to become a supermodel. Like, it just probably definitely is not in her diet, right? But so there's a status thing that happened back in the day, and then now we've got all these movements happening where there's like body shaming and all this crazy stuff, and so now any girl can basically be a model. So from like my perspective, that's kind of cool that any girl could pick up a modeling career and do something. And social media allows them to grow and become something on Instagram, Facebook, on Snapchat even. And do some really cool stuff to make themselves known. But like, are you really doing the work? I mean, I don't know. Like, some of these girls probably went through years and years of training before they became professional models. Like Gigi Hadid is, I don't know, how old is this girl? Like 23, 24. I don't know. I'm always in front of my computer when I do my podcast. So let's just jump on and say like, okay, we're going to look for Gigi Hadid, and Gigi is she's 24 years old. She was born in 95. She's 5'10". She's been on friggin' every major magazine cover you could think of. She's been on tons of fashion show, runway shows. But let's just see if her career started when she was like super young. Or did she just get crazy lucky as a teenager? Because she's only 24. I feel like she's been around for like 6 or 7 years. So 97 to present, she's been active as a model. She was born in 95, and she was active as a model in 97. She was 2 years old when she started modeling. 2 years old. And that's what I'm talking about, man. There's a girl that has 22 years in the modeling industry, and she's only 24 years old. That's freaking ballin'. So that's got to be a status quo. Like, that's what you have to shoot for, is to get to that kind of level. I don't know, man. I'm all for the girl next door being famous and things happening with social media, but can we please just organize a status? Can we just say, like, listen, if you don't have a resume that sounds like this, basically, here's what a really celebrity, like, I've been on the cover of Vogue, Cosmopolitan. I've been on the cover of, I don't know, what else is really massive, like GQ, Maxim USA, maybe Playboy USA, just these massive brands that launch people. Like, you know why these brands really matter? It's because they have like 10 million subscribers each. The biggest magazine out there right now is actually AARP, believe it or not. That's just your own information. It's for like elderly and insurance companies and stuff. Like AARP, that's the biggest magazine on the planet right now. They're killing it. I don't know what they're doing over there, but I want their marketing company to contact me, because I want to know how you turn an insurance magazine into the biggest magazine in the world. But either way, these guys' magazines, GQ, Esquire, Maxim, Playboy, whatever, girls are getting on those covers. That's good stuff. You know, if you walked for a major designer, Calvin Klein, Tommy Hilfiger, someone who's like mainstream, like there's guys that are out there making like 30, 40, 50, 60, $100,000 dresses and girls are wearing that stuff. If you got selected for that, that's mad cool too. But I'm on like, you've been working with massive brands and we all know who the hell you are. You've been in TV commercials, you've been on billboards, you are there. That's like high-end professional models to me. So if you're not in that category, you got to figure out where you are and you got to rank yourself. You got to have a goal. I mean, how can you do like, I'm a model and I want to do some photography shoots and I'm going to charge photographers like $200 to shoot me, maybe a little bit more to take my clothes off. And then you put it out there on Instagram and eventually you get all these photographers that want to shoot with you and pay you. But you know what, ladies? Let me just give you a good lesson on like humiliation right now. Those same dudes that are paying you $250, $300 to shoot with you because they want to see you topless or semi-nude or implied. Those are the same dudes that are hanging out at the strip club in your local town and dropping a couple $100 on those girls there too. So how are they seeing you any different than a sexual object when you're asking people to pay you $2,000 or $3,000? Now you want to be taken seriously. Now in the photography world, in that aspect, I want to see you get with an agency and I want to see you ranking in like, you know, the big bucks. If I went to IMG, maybe Ford, I'm not quite sure which agency Gigi's with, and I said, I want to do a photo shoot with Gigi Hadid. I'm an amateur photographer. You know what? They're going to laugh at me. They're going to be like, no, dude, you're not touching this girl, getting near her, nothing. But if I said, you know, what's her rate? I bet you for her to be on, just to do a regular photo shoot with a photographer to help grow a photographer, $50,000 for a day, maybe. And when I say day, I mean, in this industry, a day rate for a model is like 4 hours, maybe even less. So for big models like that, it's got to be less. I would think maybe 3 hours, but 4 hours would be a full day of work shooting wise. And it's probably $50K or more for a day with like girls like that. So girls, I want you to like think about where you rank. And the other thing I want to talk about too with this whole, like, how do you even figure out if you're up there or not? I'm going to be pretty blunt about some stuff because I like to speak my mind. I see a lot of crazy stuff on my social media accounts, but I'm gonna tell you, girls that are like, hey, I can't pay my rent this week, and so my feet pictures are for sale. Sweetie, you are not a foot model. You're not a model. You're not any of that stuff if you're doing stuff like that. All right. I don't know what we want to call that, but it's definitely not. It's like, it's just short of being like a sugar baby or a fetish worker, maybe. Like, that's not modeling. That's not even close to the industry that we want. So if you're calling yourself a model and you're like selling your photos for like cash, like that, your feet or your nudes or whatever the hell you're doing, I don't consider you a model, just so you know. I think that's just messed up. So don't do that. So I kind of want to say, like, okay, I want comments, I want responses. So I'm going to give you some ways to get in touch with me so you guys can go out there and message me and talk to me and tell me, like, what makes a model a model? Like, I really want to know what the status quo is for models. Like, these girls cannot come from out of nowhere, get 20,000 followers on social media, on Instagram, more likely, and do it all because they're just a cute girl next door, right? And then take on a title of, hey, I'm a model. You're just not. You're an attractive girl who has cool content, and guys are creeps and they'll pay you to shoot with you. And they all have this one thing in mind, right? They really just want one thing. It's ridiculous, but it's truth, man. You got to speak it. You got to put it out there. So this is what I'm doing. All right, so get a hold of me. Here's what we're going to do. You can go to the Savoir Faire. It's Savoir Faire, or Savoir Faire, sorry. Savoir Faire Mag on Facebook, on Instagram. You can also find us under Robert White or the Savoir Faire Man on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. Or I don't know, maybe you can actually just comment on this podcast. Like, I'm still new to this thing, so maybe there's some options. But either way, I'm going to be looking for your comments because I want to know what you guys are thinking. Models, don't get upset with me. I'm just trying to be real here. If the stuff that I said tonight kind of hurt anyone's feelings, I honestly apologize. My whole life has been devoted to helping people expand and grow their career. If you want to be a model, we should definitely talk, because I have some experience that a lot of people don't know about, and I can really help you get well known and not take this path of trying to sell your foot pictures so that you can get some extra money to pay for your comp card. Like, I don't know. We just got to talk if that's the case. So leave a comment. Tell me what your thoughts are. And I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast episode. It was something that was weighing on me today, so I wanted to get out there and spread the word a little bit. So please, 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 please go over to savfair.com, SAVFAIRE, and subscribe and get into the magazine, and let's talk a little bit more. I'm going to try to do the best I can to get these podcasts out on a regular basis, so you should hear from me soon. Please subscribe. Have a wonderful evening. Yeah, it's like crazy late here. And peace.
Thank you for listening to the show. Please take a minute to head over to www.savfair.com and subscribe to our publication.